Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Note that Ron Ankeny is absent. He's called in. He has some health issues. We have Bo Weaver on Zoom. He also is not feeling real well, but he made it on Zoom. Anybody know anything about Councilman Zant? I have not heard. Anybody see any reason not be granting Councilman Ankeny an excused absence?
I heard his body's in pieces or something.
Yeah,
I guess we'll call it good.
And Councilman Zant hasn't called in, but we'll check with him.
I'm good.
Appreciate it. You're welcome.
We do have a quorum. I got approval of the agenda.
Good.
Motion to
approve the agenda.
you're gonna add or make the
Oh.
change.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda
With the addition
with the addition of a permit for Jordan Weiner
Or garage.
for garage.
I'll second.
And moved and seconded that we have, that we add to the agenda under public hearings,
permits.
permits. Oh, right, under permits, Jordan Weiner has a permit submitted to add on to his garage.
Correct.
Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All in the affirmative. Any communications from citizens? Anything online?
Nope.
Move on down to approve the consent agenda. That's approve the minutes from August 24th, 2021, September 14th, 2021. Approve the bills from August 25th, 2021, and September 28th, 2021. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll make the motion to approve.
We got Councilman Demick made the motion to approve. Councilman Weaver second that motion. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye to approve the consent agenda. Aye. All in the affirmative, any against, any opposed? None being, all in voted for the affirmative. Motion passed. Public hearing ordinance 2021-03.
An ordinance amending code 1-5, section 1 of the Shoshoni Town Codes. The governing body of the town of Shoshoni hereby amends the Shoshoni Town Code 1-5, section 1. Its content is deleted in its entirety and replaced as follows. Whenever in this code or in any ordinance, any act which is prohibited or is declared to be unlawful and no specific penalty is provided thereof, the violation of any such provision of this code or such ordinance shall be punished by a fine of not more than $750 that the imposition of any such fine shall not bar institution of appropriate legal actions or proceedings by the municipality to restrain, correct, or abate the violation, nor shall the institution of such legal actions or proceedings be deemed a bar to the imposition of such fine or imprisonment, except as otherwise provided. Each act separated by time in violation of this code or any such ordinance shall constitute a separate offense. The municipal judge of Shoshoni shall adopt a municipal fine and bond schedule for any violations of any offense of this code or any ordinance, resolution, or regulation of the town of Shoshoni, in which shall include $10 court cost, $10 equipment replacement, and $10 officer training. Give an explanation of this.
Can you give an example?
So our current code has us, the town, adopting the state's bond schedule. If you go back to our budget, we had to add the $11,000 for civil legal service payments to the state. That's because by adopting the state bond schedule, it includes a $10 civil legal service fee as part of that bond schedule incorporated. So what this does is just cleaning up the language that we set our own, and by statute, the municipal judge can set his fines and the council can assess fees not to exceed $10 for needed fees for court costs in addition to whatever the judge sets as a bond schedule. Judge Horniker has signed off on a municipal bond schedule that does not exceed the state's bond schedule. And this just clears up what constitutes that fine for the town of Shoshoni. So that way we're not having to take part in collecting monies for the civil legal service fee for the state of Wyoming and then have to send them back off. That's really all that's changed.
$11,000 what we sent off last year,
This year.
this year.
Well, I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2021-003.
I
Second.
have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-003. Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Demick, second by Councilman Weaver. And we adopt ordinance number 2021-003 in its entirety. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative.
And just for, that was the first reading, so we'll have two more.
Yeah, that's first read. Resolution 21-006.
A resolution authorizing the increasing of the fiscal year 2022 budget revenues and expenditures for the town of Shoshoni. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni passed a budget resolution for fiscal year 2022, including expected revenues and expenditures. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes revenue estimates for reimbursement of funds from Hot Springs Health for the operation of the medical clinic did not include custodial services. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes the lease agreement was modified to provide for reimbursement of custodial services to the town of Shoshoni from Hot Springs Health. And now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshoni, authorize the town treasurer to increase the budget revenue of the following line items and the amount specified commensurate with expected revenues for reimbursement. 1031-290. Medical clinic contracts, $2,244. Now, therefore, be it further resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshoni to authorize the town treasurer to increase the following expenditure line items in the amount specified. 108205, cleaning contract, $2,244.
Kind of a motion to approve this.
Make a motion to
Resolution.
approve resolution 21-006.
Can I have a second to approve resolution 21-006?
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Demick, second by Councilman Weaver, that we approve resolution 21-006. Any further discussion, explanation needed?
So they're going to refund us this money.
Yeah, so we picked up the contract, or we agreed to provide contract services we already use it for, like the rest area. And we just incorporated that, and so they just reimbursed us. So this just is an offset, but it's the way I can.
So are we still cleaning it for them, or they bring in?
No, we're cleaning it for them and they reimburse us. This is just, yeah, just so I could adjust the budget for that.
Any further discussion? None being, all in favor to approve resolution 21-006, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Resolution passed, all in the affirmative.
We have a copy of this.
I'll post it on the.
Permit for Jordan Whitener to build a garage.
Here it is. There's the diagram.
Does he have the offsets on it from the, is it going into the alley? Or not, I mean, next to it?
The alley would be over here, or the offset. So here's Oak Street, and then the alley would be back here. And then this is 6th Street, so it would be the that's the offset there, and that's his property, and it's set back on the same line as his current garage outcropping.
His current garage on the.
That sticks out there, yeah.
Someone did add that once upon a time and said, I like that better.
Yeah, something like that. And so he's going to it's kind of backwards, but going up on the picture is actually going to the west. And then the property line will be right there where it ends. So he has another building that's already right here on the actual map. If you look at it, it's like a shed or something that's on that corner portion of the lot. And so this would be in between his current house and that shed, whatever it is.
Can I have a motion to approve the building permit for Jordan Whitener?
Make a motion to approve the building permit for Jordan Whitener's garage.
Been moved, can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Demick, second by Councilman Weaver, that we approve the building permit for Jordan Whitener to build a garage. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. I'd like to table move on to unfinished business. I'd like to table the First Street mag chloride project at this time. A little more study.
That's fine.
Anybody have?
It's almost winter.
Yeah. Councilman Weaver, have any problem with that?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, thank you. We'll move that on to a future date. Senior housing expansion. Touch bases just a little bit on that. One of the things we were looking at when we purchased the land towards the west was expanding our senior housing, and that land we bought just buckles right up to that. So we're looking at that, since we own that land, be a pretty logical place to put that. We are working with WCDA on this. There's a few things we need to do before we can move forward on this. And I'll let Chris, he's been working on this, and why don't you sort of bring him up to speed on
So
that?
part of the process is we have an application deadline of, intent to submit an application deadline of the 30th of September. After that, we have to have certain things incorporated within the application, two of which is an environmental study on the land, and then also a market study on the area. and that's part of the WCDA process. So I reached out, and that's not to be completed by October 30th is when the application, all that has to be completed. So luckily I was able to reach out to a number of groups that have done business with WCDA for this exact reason for senior housing and have received the preliminary professional services for them. One of which is Edinburgh Miller, $2,700 for the environmental study. And then I received 2 bids back from 2 companies that do market studies. Both of them came pretty close, but they're about $5,000 to $6,000 in the market study. So the total will be about $8,000 to $9,000 that we would have to expend for those 2 services to be completed prior to the application being submitted. And then the application would go forth on that proposed site that is up here to the north of the current senior housing. So this first one would be four additional units expanded. We have 8 people on a waiting list right now for senior housing, as an example, which is one of the needs that they look for when getting the senior housing or the home program that's administered through HUD. So being that the senior housing is a revenue generating entity, it would just come out of their fund. But at this point, I just want the council's approval to proceed with that project and submit that application before I actually submit it.
The fund would be coming out of the senior housing fund. Wouldn't be coming out of our general fund.
Correct.
It's similar to if we had a doing water lines, it would come out of our water fund, and sewer, same way.
And of the 2 bids that I did get, they're comparable in the estimated cost for the market study. This one bid, part of their bid was that they would be completed by October 25th. The other one was 4 weeks. So they are comparable. I would point out they're both out of Montana. The Kinetic one, however, has a satellite worker that works in Wyoming, is from Wyoming, has worked for WCDA with WCDA on senior housing specifically on this application. So if I had to choose one, that would be
Your recommendation.
my recommendation for that reason, Kinetic. The other one is the Guild Group, and I said they're both equally qualified. They're both same price range. But being the Wyoming roots of Kinetic, I think that's,
This other one shows Missouri.
yeah, Guild Group. Go back up to that one, sorry. There it is. Correct, yeah, they're out of Missouri, yep. Sorry, I retract. It's Edinburgh, it's the other, lots of bids on here. But Kinetic has a local person here in Wyoming that would do the actual market study.
So do you know if, so something that just stands out because Gil has highlighted it. It says if there's any additional changes needed, it's $100 an hour for whatever. Gilbert agrees to make any applicable changes within 1 week at a rate of $100 per hour. So I'm assuming that would be above their bid price as well.
Yeah, that, exactly. So
It change order.
if you look at the Kinetic one, they actually put a range, which is their low range is about the same as theirs, but they also put a higher range, which would take that into consideration versus this one doesn't have a range. That's essentially their range without putting a number behind it, which I would take to a not to exceed number.
So we understand. So we have 2 companies that are going for the market study.
Correct.
And Ingberg
It's
is
just
the only
just
one that's
only one.
done the environment. And they have to check for sage grouse and
environmental impact. all that
floodplains.
stuff. Yeah.
And all this has to be done in accordance with the HUD application.
Correct. Yeah. part of it was because of the timeline. So we reached out to a lot, but because of the narrow time frame, these are what we got back. So all I would need is just approval to proceed.
Can I have a motion to proceed with this project?
Do you need a specific, just a yes to proceed, or do we need to choose?
I would just let it go ahead and proceed and let Chris negotiate with the contractors.
Groups?
Yeah, this is under 35, it's professional service. We can sort what we think is best for Shoshone on this.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve Chris to go forward with our senior housing application, HUD application process.
Can I have a second?
Seconded.
Been moved by Councilman Demick, second by Councilman Weaver, that we move forward on the HUD project and hire the two firms to continue that, to move forward. So
As part of the application.
as part of the application, to complete the application. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion passed on the affirmative. Asbestos abatement bid selection. How many bidders have we received?
Received 3 bids. The scope of the work that was bid is listed here for all 3. First one's from Schroeder. Their overall cost was $27,600. Second one was from Environmental Contractors out of Billings for $45,700. And then the final one was from Wind River Environmental for $145,152.
Pretty wide range. Pretty wide range. On this, I think we need to do some investigation, maybe work with our engineer, look at the low bid, make sure the low bid is all inclusive.
And I can say on this one, the mobilization was $8,900 for the one bid, and the other one was $3,500. So I kind of think one of them has more equipment already in the area than the other, maybe. They're both out of Montana.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that's why it's so much cheaper.
I've worked with Schroeder in the past.
Oh,
So Schroeder was responsible for a lot of the abatement work on the Jeffrey City School
Okay,
2 years ago. I think they were.
you're familiar with them
that's good. Schroeder was low bid, weren't they?
then? They were.
So should know our area.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could recall if they did the asbestos, they assisted on the school when they tore the school down here. I don't remember that for sure. There's a good chance because the same guy that tore down Jeffrey City, he's out of Sheridan. I know they've worked on several projects together, but
Makes sense. They do both.
Yeah. But I think we'll move forward and talk with the low bidder and make sure everything is covered and we got everything happy and good. And if everything is, we would move forward with awarding the bid to them.
And this, what's paying for this is a award we got, a grant we got from the DEQ for $99,900. So that covers the engineering as well as the abatement. So
Some tri-hydros,
The engineer.
Correct.
the
yeah.
engineer, and then.
and so-
And I would make a motion upon an investigation, should it be, that we approve the low bidder of Schroeder Contracting in the sum of $27,600 for the abatement and removal of lip rippers and Old Shoshoni Motel.
It's been moved that we move forward and through investigation with the low bidder Schroeder. And if they meet all the criteria and everything is, we award the bid to them and move forward on this. Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Demick, second by Councilman Weaver, that after investigation, if the bid is all right, that we award the bid to the lowest bidder, Schroeder. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Department head reports, police, library.
Just quick. No changes or updates for our staffing. Everything's pretty copacetic and carrying on. Equipment wise, we're still awaiting the delivery of our patrol vehicle. And again, due to the ongoing chip shortage, I checked with my Magic 8 Ball for an expected delivery date, and it told me to come back later. So, I'm going to contact Fremont Motors, and if we don't get delivery of this vehicle soon, I'm going to ask if it's going to be discounted upon arrival between what the bid price was from YDOT and what it is, since we're going to be into a new model year here now. If not, here in the next few months, I'll probably have some discussions about maybe rebidding with YDOT and going with a newer model than taking an older model at the same price. That does not really make sense to me to do so, if that's going to be the case. And we can cancel the order with no cost. Obviously, it's not our fault that it's, but that's where it stands. We did have to expend about $1,800 to get the Crown Vic to keep it operational. And that's unfortunately the cost of doing business, but I'll keep you informed over the next couple of weeks what the status is, and we'll go from there. And our calls for service on the screen, we had a little bit calming down month finally in August, 31 calls for service. Also, the police department did issue 215 traffic related citations during the month of August, and report that the animal shelter is now partially operational for now, hopefully to have it winterized so we can continue through the winter. We did house 3 animals, one being a dog that was lost in Boise that made its way to Fast Lane. And by using our Facebook and the Shoshoni Police Department's Facebook page, we were able to reach out to the community and the owner and reunite the dog with the owner. So that was kind of cool, neat thing to do. And it didn't cost the town any money in housing fees. Also a bonus. And then just a quick note on the library. This is all, again, from August, since we didn't have a meeting last time. She reported 88 patrons, 2 new patrons, 26 for the library computers, and 51 for books and whatnot. Her revenues were reported for $119.85, of which $85.65 was in donations and $25 was in book sales. A lot of this is a little bit outdated since this is a month late, but she did hold a cribbage tournament on September 18th. That's some pretty good food. And I'm not sure who won that one. I don't think it was the mayor though.
I wasn't here. I won the one before.
Oh,
Or I won one in August. I won one in August. I did. Went into overtime, but I got it done.
and there is some events, quite a few events that she's putting on for October. And those events can be found on the Shoshoni Library Facebook page as well as Town Hall. And I believe the Senior Center, if I'm not mistaken, maybe not, I'll have to check. But those will be posted around, so if there's any questions, those are how you can get in contact and get that information out. And there'll be another update here in October, obviously. And that's all I have.
Public Works. I see we have our director here.
I think he did. Well, it's been a while since I've actually seen a report. But I think the last meeting that you guys had, actually, we was at water conference. Me and Jamie. And going pretty good. There's a few rules that of course EPA's pushing down the tubes with lead copper sampling, you know. So that'll be interesting to see how that turns out, you know. Of course, Jamie did go with. He learned a few things, but I guess not enough, because I did immediately send him to test for his water test. And he missed it by 3, you know, so hopefully get him knowed up a little more. Our equipment all came in, of course, our minis here, our skid steers here. Some of our attachments, 2 attachments we're waiting for is the thumb and the brake bar. And of course our trailer made it too. So it's some pretty nice equipment. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's kind of nice running it.
It's amazing how you're always busy now. You have equipment. I'm weird. It's weird.
That's like the other 2, they're always like, what can we do? You know, they're wanting to go out and use it, you know, which is actually good. It's getting used, you know. So
And you like the equipment well, I take it.
yeah. You know, yeah, it's got a lot of bells and whistles, and I'm still trying to figure it all out. But yeah, it's really nice. You know, it had some advantages to cat over cat. You know, and of course, you know, there's one simple thing that cat did have that I thought was a little better than Bobcat was the ride control. You know, but it is what it is, you know. But no, it's I know little skid steers are kind of rough when you're going down the road, no suspension, you know, of course, but okay, of course, we're having issues with wall 5. The VFD in it. Had Bob with Montana Controls come look at it. Thinking it was the VFD, but it's a ground fault, something with the wiring down a hole again, you know, which I'm trying to get a hold of Joe to get him out there because we just recently went through that back in February, March. So dealing with that amongst dealing with EPA. And I hate announcing this, but I want it to be known because it is public information, but not for the community to go panic about our water system. I got 2 hits for a total coliform. And you got to remember, total coliform through the lab is a test for a possible contamination for fecal or E. coli. So once you get a total coliform hit, it goes on to me testing a bunch more. They test for the fecal or E. coli. No fecal or E. coli, or we'd be in a boil order right now. But we had 2 of them that hit, so that put us into a level 1 assessment. So I have to run around and see why, you know, and I can tell you why. It's like Chris was saying, I mean, you know, ordering stuff, it takes forever. I've been waiting for a booster pump for my chlorinator for 5 months now. I've got an email that will be supposed to be shipped out October 15th. And it's like, why all this is happening, I don't know. So, but anyway, the chlorine in the water was real low. Our residual had a 0.01, which is almost no chlorine in the water. So that's probably why I got the hit with the total. But again, I want to, you know, the water's not bad. You don't have to stop drinking it. We're not going to boil it. So just to let people know on that. Burn days, I did apply for burn days, but again, I'm waiting for DEQ, which, you know, had a few people wanting to burn, but until they prove it, you know. And with our equipment, we'll finally get to that north welcome to Shoshoni sign in, which I gotta catch up with council and Demi about some more posts for it. But, and of course, a few of you may have seen, you know, we've finally got our uniforms with, you know, town of Shoshoni, her name's on it. And a few compliments, you know, and some jokes about them, but hey, you know, our ID number on the back, you know.
I didn't say that.
Oh, well, you didn't say ID, you said your prison number.
Yeah.
Your ID.
Allegedly said.
Legend.
But all I have is you guys got questions for me, you know, so. Yeah, that's all I got.
I'm jealous because yours has the venting on the back, mine don't.
It's still pretty hot.
Look at this.
Yeah, well, we're around all summer long in a long sleeve. Of course it's hot.
Yeah.
Where's your short sleeve? But your vest too, yeah. So,
But it's, yeah, it seemed like a nice trailer too.
oh,
Tilt
very nice
bed.
trailer, Yes.
Well, it's got like a 4-foot stationary on the front,
Yep, yep.
22 foot trailer. Yeah.
So, yeah, of course I had to go and get some chains and boomers, you know. 'Cause
Right.
we never had all our equipment around. We usually drove it, but little mini X, it takes a while to get across town.
So-
It ain't very fast.
It's
but
pretty
it
nice.
is nice. It is nice.
Nice going to a site, you're gonna do a little work and not worried about your equipment breaking
Breaking
down.
down or, right, you know, and, which is another thing. We finally got all the taps for Cindy and Rick down here. I forget what their company, is it Winter or something or?
High Desert.
High desert.
High Desert.
There you go. Got them taps for the water and sewer, and we did 4 more of them besides the 5 that we did last year. So we got all their taps done just recently like that. So that was kind of a
You
fiasco.
dug that with the mini?
We dug 2 of them that we had to dig up because no mapping of water lines in there. Had no clue where anything was at. You know, and they were wanting to run their taps, of course, out the front of the trailer. We come across a tap that we had no idea was in there. So we went out with our mini and dug it up to abandon it. So it wasn't just sticking up. So we
Right.
turned it on and the trailer goes floating down the street. you know.
Yeah.
So nobody could accidentally turn it on.
Sure.
So yeah, we did utilize the mini and it went good. So a lot of digging power, you know, for something that small. It impressed me. So
Okay, yeah, that was, when we first started this Odyssey going down this road, I really thought it was sort of a toy.
yeah.
Until I started talking with people using them and saying how good they are.
They got that. I was surprised. I'd say it's got power.
Yeah.
But it is nice having a piece of equipment that you can rely on.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Anything else you'd like to enlighten us with?
That's it.
Appreciate it.
Piranha. Piranha. Hang you over to you.
Round table, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I just been home. I got this damn COVID and just really nothing really.
Well, you just continue to heal, and we'll figure this stuff out. But yeah, I appreciate being able to get in. Mike, do you have something you'd like to bring up? Oh, I probably ought to mention just, do we want to talk anything at all about our auditor and stuff like that, or we want to? Or the county?
Oh,
Do we want to talk anything about the ambulance or anything like that?
well,
I've
there's,
been gone pretty much for a month, so I'm a little behind.
so, yeah, I found an ambulance that was actually a really good one. It was 2010, had a rebuilt motor, down out of Vale. By the time I reached out to them, somebody snapped it up in one day. So they
make great campers.
Oh, I'd have bought the son of a gun in a
I saw
heartbeat.
one that's riding around here the other day. I was like, what in the world? I was like, gonna pull them over and, find something.
$10,000 for a four-wheel drive.
But that's where we're at. I'm looking at some other avenues with our current budget stuff that, we plan for with grants to be able to replace, to free up some monies that we could find some more. And also, with COVID, ARPA monies to hopefully get some kind of a grant to help pay for one that we can get a newer one if we have to, but that's currently where that's at. We have most of the equipment we need now in the office. So it's deployable, but we don't have necessarily a vehicle to do so, but we can deploy it all. And so that's still slowly progressing. To make the assessment.
Yeah, we may or may not, it's up to you.
There's a lot I want to say that I probably shouldn't say.
Okay. We'll work that out.
So, when I have more information after I speak with Marshall,
Yeah.
I'll have more information to say about that.
Could you comment just a little bit on the events we had, the hot nights and the time trials both?
Yeah, so I know the mayor was gone for both, unfortunately, so I kind of stepped in for his event, and that went pretty well. I think we had 33 vehicles.
34.
34. Okay. Well, he wasn't even there. He knows.
And I think it went smoother without me than with me, so I don't know what that says.
But it seemed like most had fun. We inspected the roadway afterwards for any possible signs of damage and whatnot. I didn't see any. If anything, we need to get some kind of adhesive to give more because it is so slick down there for those races in the future. But I didn't see any damage to the road, so that's good.
Bleach.
Was that?
Bleach on the tire if you get traction.
Right. So, so far everything's going well with that. Everybody had fun, had a lot of compliments, and it went really well. I think a couple of people actually did a couple extra runs and snuck them in there when they weren't supposed to. But, cops weren't looking, so. The event at the park, the Shoshoni Hot Summer Nights, that went really well. The car show had a lot of people just stopping in as they went by, walking through. I'm sure Jay and Joey, I don't know if you were selling jelly that day or not, but.
My associate was.
Mary,
We didn't have any problems. There was no violations. Everybody was really well behaved, and it was a lot of fun. So look forward to hopefully some more events like that in the future, and hopefully we'll have something coming up for Halloween. So I'll get some more information and present that
Is that
ideas.
coordinating with the library, what she's trying to do?
So what she's trying to do, I wish she was here to talk about it. So what she's trying to do is more for like little kids. 'Cause I know the Shoshoni, the senior center, what they put on is kind of a little bit more geared for the older kids and adults. And so she's trying to do something more for like little kids to be able to partake while they're out there and doing things like that, and some festivities for Halloween there. And then kind of like last year, I thought it worked really well with having the events at the park. They kind of went along with the events at the senior center and then at the library, and all three different events for all age groups, and just giving people something to do in various components and whatnot. So I'll get with some private entities that hopefully will put on these things with the support of the town, of course.
Is
And
SRD, are Are they doing anything this year?
They helped us out on serving because we did provide food for all the volunteers as well as everyone that came and brought a car to the car show. And they came out and they helped monitor the bouncy houses as well as serve food and provided some plates and some of the food that was served.
Halloween.
And then for Halloween, we'll reach out to them and see, because I mean, that is kind of,
They do the haunted house at the senior center.
So they have some, that is the current plan.
yeah. So trying to get everyone to work together and provide different things just for people to do and have a good time. So that's kind of in the near term plans. I thought the basketball tournament was good, even though you beat me. But you cheated, so.
I was tired. That's one word.
Yeah.
You got dunked more times than I did.
Oh my God, that was horrible for me.
That's right. You learn next time to tell them no.
Speaking of chlorinated water, that dunk tank needed some disinfectant because I took some of that in my mouth and I wasn't right for like 3 days.
But it wasn't from the water.
Can't help it when some little kid comes and pushes the button when I'm not looking.
Would you fill it out of the fire truck or did you fill it out of?
Out of the tap, it was. But when it was all said and done, it was green water. It looked like mossy pond water.
That was your own doings.
We'll get Buddy next year. So that's.
Okay, well, appreciate that. You know, one thing I just, in closing, want to mention, we are gonna get a digital sign on the west end of town. The digital part's gonna be a little over 4 foot, near 4.5 foot. We'll be able to type messages in it from town hall. Put up advertisements, what's going on in town, things that's going on in rest of the county. We, every so often, we gotta put COVID messaging on it because we're using COVID funds to get it in. So, but it's you know, but that's we're moving forward on it. It's got to be finished by in December, just like our clinic did. We had a sort of the bottom's going to have a sign or that's going to stay stationary artwork, and it's you know, I think Chris's daughter had a whole lot to do with the design of it, and it's going to be Shoshoni, Wyoming, crossroads of Wyoming, similar to our signs with pictures of Boyson Lakes. We really want to promote Boyson Lake. But we'll, next meeting or something, we'll try to have pictures of all that up.
I can get it right now if you really
Yeah.
want. Can I send you an email? 1 second, sorry.
We sort of had to rush into this there again. It came upon us relatively fast, and but Wind River Visitors Council is paying for this. They got the grant, and they 3 communities, us, Lander, and Du Bois, are getting these signs.
Wouldn't they want it on the east end of town then?
Yeah, that's where, did I say west? No, yeah, it's gonna be east. Yeah, I argued for it there. Riverton was first getting, and then we had a guy there that kind of got me. I think I mentioned it last month. Gary Wise there, me and him, we tag team, but anyway, kind of blew Shoshoni off, and I informed them that anybody that was coming from the east was in Riverton, they already came through Shoshoni. And a lot of them turned north at the valley, so they went, instead of going to Riverton, they went up through the valley to DuBois. So in fact, we had more people than they did coming through, and more appropriate to put the sign in Shoshoni than in Riverton. And Riverton agreed with us. And in fact, everybody, one time I got done making my argument, talking to them at our meeting last Thursday when I got back, that they thought, well, we ought to put a bigger sign in Shoshoni and everywhere else, but DuBois wants one the same size Shoshoni is. So.
Here we go. That took a minute, sorry.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
But we'll have that picture on the bottom of it. It's gonna be rectangle, this sort of the other way, but the sign will be about a little over 2 foot tall on the bottom and 8 foot wide. And up on the top, it's 8 foot wide and 4 foot tall. That'll be the digital messaging we can put in there if we got something, rodeo or whatever, we got anything going on in town, we'll put stuff. We will also, the Winter Visitors Council paying for this, so they got something going in Riverton. We're going to try to encourage them to go to Riverton and not go through Missouri Valley, but should be a lot of farmers happy about that because they get way more traffic than they want out there. So, but I think it'll be a good thing. We're going to put it out near the clinic. Not in the highway right away. So, other than that, I don't have anything. Councilman Demick moved that we adjourn.
That was quick.
Second.
Councilman Weaver, second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. No, same. Meeting adjourned.
8:05.
8:05. All in the affirmative.
Mm.
I had to make it last over, I guess. Didn't I? Thanks a lot, Mike.
Actually, it wasn't more an hour, because
Oh, yeah, we started late.
Started at 7:13.